Londonderry Museum Project: How the Spanish Ways of Life Reflected Their Worldview. By Ismail Abdullahi, voiced by Snoop Dogg. Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Zero. Nobles: the rich dudes. Merchants, shopkeepers, artisans, and traders. Commoners, the broke dudes. Nobility. In Spain, nobles were very powerful and ruled their estates like monarchs. Spanish nobility very much derision manual labor and bargaining, and judge an individual's worth by social status rather than through achievements and hard work. Priests who were members of religious orders were generally better educated and came from wealthier families. The few priests who reached the upper clergy had great status and rank, similar to that of the nobility. Merchants, shopkeepers, artisans, and traders. With the support of Ferdinand and Isabella, a middle class began to grow. Professionals trained in religion, law, or medicine, as well as independent merchants, shopkeepers, artisans, and traders all had a higher social status than individuals who did any type of manual labor. Often these groups shared the same lifestyles as the nobility. Many of the wealthy merchant class were educated and owned property. Lower class commoners. Commoners made up 90% of Spain's population. Among the commoners, the feudal peasant farmers or herders had the lowest status. Most peasants lived and worked on huge estates that belonged to the nobles. Only a tiny percentage of peasants eventually owned land or were able to save money. Economy. In the Kingdom of Aragon, the primary economic activities were agriculture and the manufacture of wool products. Along the Mediterranean coast, Barcelona and Valencia were major seaports for importing and exporting goods. Like other areas of Europe, after the first cycle of the Black Death, the population of Spain decreased. This resulted in a decline in both agricultural and manufacturing output. Seaports also suffered from labor shortages. In addition, Barcelona could not compete with the Italian sea merchants for trade in southern Europe. While under Moorish rule, between the 8th and 13th centuries, agriculture in Castile flourished. Olives, grapes, wheat, rice, and fruit were some of the main products. However, by the time Ferdinand and Isabella came to power, agricultural activities in Castile were limited. When the Moorish lands were conquered, most of the area was divided among a few noble families, many of whom had no interest in agriculture. As well, the Sheep Farmers Guild formed a powerful organization called the Mester. For payments to the treasury, the monarchy gave large pieces of land to the Mester. Sheep now grazed on lands that had previously been used for farming, reducing the amount of produce. The minimum of agricultural products created a lack of money to support the development of larger industries. Spanish industries generally remained as cottage industries, so Spain did not develop a strong manufacturing base. Spain imported more products than it exported. Arts. As in most of Europe, Latin was the language used by Spanish scholars and the clergy. However, each kingdom in the Iberian Peninsula had its own vernacular: Castilian and Castile, Aragonese and Aragon, and Catalan and Catalonia, along the Mediterranean coast. Once Isabella and Ferdinand united the two kingdoms of Castile and Aragon into Spain, Isabella made Castilian the official language. Spanish architecture was greatly influenced by the Islamic Moors. They created unique architectural features that are still found in Spanish architecture. Many Spanish homes had beautiful mosaic decorations and inside courtyards modeled after Muslim buildings. The grandest structures in Spain were the mosques and churches. The architectural styles of many Spanish churches were modeled after those in France. The most talented Spanish sculptors lived in Catalonia and Aragon. In other areas of Spain, most of the best sculptors came from other lands in Western Europe. Many sculptors decorated civic buildings, but most master sculptors created works for the interiors of churches and cathedrals. Spanish artists absorbed influences from different cultures, traditions, and religions, but still developed their own artistic styles. Flemish and Italian artists had the greatest influence over Spanish artists. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, the most impressive Spanish art was beautiful murals and frescoes, most often found on the walls of churches. The first identifiable Spanish painter was Furubas of 1324-1348. He founded the Catalan School of Art. At the time of the unification, Spanish paintings reflected influences of both the Moors in northern Europe. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella were patrons of the arts.
That's all, folks.